what class has the most DPS, what class is the most versatile, what class is the easiest, and what class is the worst one to play. Alright, I'm gonna try to answer to all of these questions in this video, but right before, let me remind you that I spent more than 340 hours on the game on early access during 2 entire months. And I'm still playing it. In fact, I have so many things to try and I'm trying all the time, all my different builds with the different characters, and I'm gonna show you some gameplay with the 3 classes in this video, so stay until the end, guys. By the way, right before getting into the content, did you know that you could get some free rewards in game by supporting your favorite content creator? Basically, during the month of June, you will receive some kappa pouches, rune runners to get more artifacts, you will get some recharge tickets to get more RP, and activity support chests, so just a few more materials such as potions and herbs, stuff like that to craft. Basically, the only thing you have to do is open one of my video, like that, go in the description and click on that link here. Click on support, and by doing that, you will receive some coupons. You don't need to spend anything. Basically, I will have the list. I can send you some rewards during the month and later as well. On the other side, if someday you want to spend in game, I will receive a percentage based on your spending. So thank you so much to everyone who want to support me. Alright, let's start with a few explanations on the 3 different classes. The Knight is the most versatile class you have in the game. First of all, you can have a lot of damage, it can be very tanky, and the most safe class you have in a game versus humans, because basically you have a riposte stand skill. When you are casting that skill, you can just hold the guard button and the character will auto parry the attacks you will receive. If you pair that with the sentinel set in game, then you can also parry the yellow attacks. I made a video showcasing that in detail in the past, so you can watch that video, you will have all the details. So this is my favorite class and the easiest one to play for 90% of the content in game, because 90% of the content has human fights, human encounters, even in endgame. So best class overall. If your goal is to play more aggressively, then go on the Assassin, because this is the most offensive class. But you need to have in mind that when you are fighting versus humans, they can parry your attacks, and I don't know why exactly, maybe some hidden stats behind, but it seems like that with the Assassin class, they parry you more often, cancelling your combos and stuff like that. But the Assassin has the highest burst damage in the game, so this is, if you want to achieve some rankings on Altar of Memories and World Boss, stuff like that, if we have some in the future, then this is the best class to farm the content as fast as you can as well, because you have a crazy burst of damage. The Sellsword is the slowest class to play. But this is the class with which you have the best feelings, because when you are hitting enemy, you are crushing them, you are destroying them, and this is super satisfying. But this is very low, but there are some ways to make that class being very strong as well. Alright, and this is the only class that has an instant immunity. Basically, when you are doing your combos, on the heavy combos, enemies, when they attack you with some light attacks or intermediate attacks, the yellow ones, they can't cancel your combo, but you take the damage. So you need to be careful when you are playing that class, but this is the only class with that ability, and it works very well as well. Alright, so that's all I had for the explanations. Now it's time to go in the game and check some gameplay with the 3 different classes. Let's start with the Knight. I'm gonna show you 3 types of gameplay. The first one being here on the dummies. Basically, you can find that in Castle Black here. You have that icon here. This is a trainer, and you have another one in Renown's Rest here. These are the 2 only ones you have in the game. Just basically go to them and talk to that guy. You can train versus a dummy, and you can try your DPS. This is what I'm doing with my 3 characters to know which one is the best and what combo is the best to execute. Alright, so here I am on my Knight, and basically I am gonna run that. This is what I am using. Basically, here, that boost morale skill, this is a kind of endgame's feature, because you unlock that when you reach the level 32, but the slashes is the most aggressive one. You unlock that maybe around the level 20, something like that, maybe 16, I don't remember exactly. So this is the most offensive skill you have with the Knight, and this is an amazing one to increase the stats of your team and your own stats as well. Alright? Let's get into the training part. I'm gonna put a chrono here, starting the chrono, and basically I'm just generally casting that. Then I'm doing one combo, And I'm running the big skill here. I missed a crit, it's okay, so I'm continuing with my main combo. And he's already dead. 13 seconds to kill it without using the artifact skill. Alright, so this is the combo I am using at the moment with the knight, and this is the highest burst damage combo you have in the game as far as I tried. I can be wrong on a few things, but I tried a lot of things. This is my main character, and trust me, you have crazy damage when you're releasing that. You don't even need the ignite skill here. These two are amazing. Paired with the artifact, then you can maximize your damage. You will have insane damage. For now, I'm just showing you some gameplay. I'm gonna show you the build of my characters right after. Now, let's redo the test, but with the Assassin. So let's speak to that guy, and by the way, the gear is not optimal on my Assassin, so it could be better than that. But as far as I tried, I'm gonna start a chrono. This is the most optimal thing I was able to get on my Assassin so far. So I'm putting some marks on the target. Now I'm using the ambush skill. Another combo, the mutilation. Missed a lot of crit though, so it could have been better than that. But yeah, this is the best I can achieve with that character at the moment with the combo one. 19 seconds. So this is different from the knight, alright? But this is the most optimal thing I had so far. You can release insane amount of damage with the mutilation. The big skill I use basically this one here, if you can enhance the sub effect here. But as you can see here, I have nothing, so I need to work on that, but this is pretty hard at the moment. So this is probably the highest DPS skill you have in the game. Alright, third test, that time with the Sellsword. Let's go. You will see that this is my favorite game style, in fact, because this is very aggressive. You are basically bullying the target. This is the worst. So let's start the chrono. I'm gonna use the rampage, so I increase my stat. This is a kind of berserk mode. I'm applying some destruction stacks on the target, so he's taking more damage over time. Just waiting for my skills to pop so I can deal crazy damage. Earthquake, crit, 300k, mighty strike attack, and he's already dead. 18 seconds. Look at how brutal it is. I do love that. So this is my favorite game style. But maybe not the most efficient one, but I prefer playing that than with the Assassin. When you are hitting with that guy, you feel every single hit. Now, a bit of gameplay in the Wormwalks with the Knight. This is the hardest content we have at the moment in the game, and you will understand why. In my opinion, the Knight is the best class to play in that content. Basically, thanks to the defensive skills. I can use that repose stance, and now I can hold the button pressed, and I can basically counter all the attacks coming from the enemies multiple times while the skill is active. Very, very strong. I forget to parry that one. Another attack. Look at that. This is very strong. Here, I need to retreat, otherwise I will die. I need to heal. Can use the artifact to increase my damage, though. That wasn't the skill, by the way. That was me parrying a skill, an attack. One more time. You can do the parry attacks with all your characters. Just need to practice a bit, and as you can see here, you have pretty good results after that. You see? So basically you can do that with all three characters, but you have the repose stance. I'm gonna redo that one more time with the knight. So basically I can hold the button and amazing parry and daze damage. And as you can see, it's getting way more easier when you are doing that with the knight. Alright, so they are healing. I need to use the burn skill. Gonna let them come. I forgot to parry in time. Gonna heal. Okay, that was a good parry. Gonna retreat a bit. Another one. Have time for a few combos. Oh, and the small guys attacked me. Let's heal one more time. Oh, I fucked up. So, took a lot of damage through the guard. And one more time. Alright, I'm dead. This is a very hard content because I have a malice on my character. So, this is very hard, but still way easier when you are using that class instead of the others. Now, the Wormwalks with my Assassin. You will see the difference. So here I have a big enemy. I can't parry the red attacks. I'm gonna handle this one first, the archer, to avoid taking some hits from range. So when you are dodging with the Assassin, you are way faster than with the other class. So this is the way to play the class, in fact. It's more aggressive, but you have time to place your combos. Alright, so now I'm just gonna focus on the parry. Get out of the poison. Gonna wait for him to come. Another parry. Now I'm using my attacks. Red attack, so I can't parry that. So it's harder to play the class because you need to dodge most of the time. But it's working pretty well as well, when you have the skills. Oh, a ranged attack. Gonna handle that guy first if I want to stay alive. Need to keep an eye on that guy because he's just gonna destroy me from range if I'm not being careful. Mighty Strike attack. You don't take any damage when you're running these attacks. Okay, I took one hit. Oh man, I forgot to dodge that and I'm dead. Alright. But you can see that this is more offensive. You kill enemies faster, you attack faster with the assassin. So if you can dodge, if you can stay safe like that, you will kill enemies faster. But the knight is easier to play thanks to the repose stance. Now the Wormwalks with the Sellsword. You will see that this is the hardest class to play in here because basically you are slower than with the other classes to execute your combos. So it's way harder to kill the enemies here. Alright, so I have my first skill, so let's start attacking. I took a lot of damage, need to heal. Oh man, the beast just cancelled my parry. I was about to parry the attack coming from the big guy. And the small guy just attacked me. Okay, this is just my fault, this is not the Sellsword's fault. Alright, so the small guy was able to parry that. Wait, that wasn't a parry? Okay, that was a delayed attack. Come on. Okay, I forgot I parried it too early. Okay, it is time to focus. A parry, amazing. Wasn't a parry attack? The gameplay is so different with the Sellsword here. Okay, another one. So one combo now, Mighty Strike, he's getting on the ground. Rampage. So I increase my damage, my light attack speed. And my day's damage are crazy here as well. And he's doing only red attacks. Red attack again? I don't know why he's executing only red attacks. Come on, attack me. That wasn't a parry? Come on, are you serious? Oh, that was a ranged attack. Red attack again. Okay, the Days Gauge is broken again. Half time for the Mighty Strike. Yeah, versus enemies with higher momentum than you, the Sellsword is the worst one to play. Because he's built around the hit stun immunity, but here you don't want to stay on contact with that character, so... And I took an extra hit, so as you can see, this is very hard to play the Sellsword in that kind of content when enemies have more momentum than you. Now, the last hideout with my knight. Let me show you some gameplay here with the 3 different classes. You will see that when you have the required momentum for the content, it is easy for every single class. So basically, you can just come and you have a great damage with all class. Like that. It works very well. So here you have elite enemies, so let's use some AoE attacks. Oh, he's not dead. Normally there is another one above. Alright, I can't do that. So that was the knight here. Now, let's log out and come back on the Assassin. The last hideout with the Assassin that time. So let's just basically check how it goes. Basically, before I need to change one of my builds. I'm using the Brute set here. This is better for the damage. I'm using the Sentinel only in the Wormwalks. As you can see here, I have great damage with that class as well. This is very fast to execute the things. I'm gonna buff myself. So you see, it is very efficient too. And with the daggers, I have almost the same damage as with the knight. Alright, time to jump on the 3rd character and check the difference. Last hideout with the Sellsword. So let's check the difference, because now I'm not in the Wormwalks anymore. Enemies have the same momentum, I have more, so I have great damage, as with the other characters. Nothing changes here. This is just that when you are facing people with higher momentum, you can't stay here. You're forced to dodge all the attacks coming from the enemies, and it's getting way harder. Alright, so let's get here and hit all enemies. You see when you can counter, take the damage, tank. Look at how fast I can handle the enemy. And okay, I was about to say I am immune to stun when I'm in my combo too. So they can't cancel my combo. This is very cool. I'm playing only with the same skill again and again with that character, but you can use other things if you want. Just different gameplay. This isn't just optimal by repeating the same thing again and again. And yeah, basically that is the gameplay with the Sellsword. Let me show you if I use my skills to see if there is a difference. So I am getting here. There is a small guy right below. I'm gonna buff myself. Gonna jump on him. He went the other side? Are you serious? This is the first time he goes the other side. Alright, whatever. Let's come here. He's still immunity, so I took one hit. I was able to parry, to continue attacking, and he's already dead. Alright guys, so now let me show you some gameplay on the Ferocious Beast with the 3 different characters. Oh wait, before I need to recover my my rage. Alright, so here I am, first try with my knight. Let's go. And by the way, people seem like to have some fun in the Eurasian chat. Statue de la bébête féroce dans le respect du bien-être animal. Alright, so let's use the artifact. I want to use my skill to increase my crit rate and crit damage, and the slash. Amazing, super high damage. He's dead already. That is my best combo, so I don't even use the fire skill with my knight. So imagine if I show you the skills again. If I go to boost morale here, this is very nice. These are the best things to have on a knight. Ignite weapon, this is cool when you're beyond the wall, but I don't care when I'm doing that kind of content. And the slash skill is my best one, level 37. Imagine if I had the slashes plus and that as well, I would deal some damage over time. That would be even better. Yeah, I need to work on that. At least I have the slash plus. That would be insane. So let's jump on my other characters now to see the difference. Alright, so now I'm on my Assassin. So let's see how fast I can kill it. And remember, as I said earlier, my knight is more optimized than my assassin by far. Alright, so let's cast that skill, dodge that attack. Okay, I took the attack, whatever. Let's buff my guy. Start to do some combos. Combo 1, mutilation. And I wasted all my crits. Where were the crits? Amazing. Alright, so it's time to switch to my Sellsword and check the difference. Alright, so I just recovered the artifact cooldown, so let's jump into the combat. This is gonna be a bit different with that character because I think that I can kill the boss with using the rampage only. So this is what I'm gonna use. The artifact to use before the rampage, otherwise you can't cast skills anymore. And look at the damage I have with the combos only. The boss is already dead. That was absolutely fast. Faster than with the Assassin, by the way, using only the combos here. That was crazy. And generally, on strongest enemies, then right after I do a couple more hits and I use the Art Strike skill, I have crazy damage. My max, I could reach like 350k with the Art Strike with a crit. That was insane. My max, when I was using another skill, the Roar, I was able to get a 500k. That was insane. Alright, so let me show you the gear I have on my knight. First of all, this is my gear. I have a tier 4, it is optimal, I have all the skills I want on every single piece of gear. As I said earlier, this is my main class, I worked a lot on it, so this is why I have crazy damage with that class in comparison with the others. So I have a legendary weapon reforged 3 times with damage, crit damage, active skill damage, penetrating power. I have armed conflict 2 on the weapon. On the crossbow, the roll is maxed out. This is a legendary tier 4. I have a maxed proc on the attack power here, another attack power substat, and damage increase rate 4.5%. The skill here is not optimal. I don't care about pommel strike. I'm not using it. On the defensive gear, on the helmet, I have boost morale plus, so I'm increasing my damage, decreasing the defense of the enemy when using the skill, and I have an AoE attack. HP increase, whatever, I don't care about the defensive stats for now. On the chest, I have advancement plus 2 to boost morale. This is something that I use. HP increase, recovery increase at 3.5, I don't care. Status effect duration rate 2.5%. On the gloves, Ignite Weapon Plus, this is one of my main skill as well. Status effect duration reduction, a crit strike resistance rate 3%. And on the boots, I have advancement plus 2 to boost morale one more time, knockdown duration increase rate 2.5, and damage taken decrease versus bosses 2.5%. I have these jewels on all my characters, so here, crit damage is 6%, damage increase rate 2.3, light attack speed increase at 3.3, damage dealt on bosses 11%, attack power increase at 3%, that is one of the best you could have in game, amazing. On the earrings, you have only defensive substats. This is why I am running only offensive 1 level 0, because you won't have any extra offensive stats here, alright? You can check that by clicking the glass here. This is the only stats you can have in substats. But active skill damage 6%, and on this one, strike combo damage 6%. Otherwise, if I want to have more defensive stats, I have these 2 earrings as well. For the rings, I have a crit rate as main stats, the same 2 here. Damage dealt on bosses 4.5, penetrating power 30, damage dealt on bosses 2.4, and damage increase rate 2.8. Amazing ring here. On the second one, I have strike combo damage 5.1, rage gain upon ranged attack 3, attack power 2.7, and crit damage 1.4%, so pretty nice one as well. Okay, so that was for my gear. I'm using, by the way, I forgot to mention that, the champion set. This is the best set I have in the game at the moment. The best I recommend to play. And on the set research, I recommend to play with the Brute set, which is an amazing set, but if you are early in game, play with the 7 set, equip that on your character, because by completing some content, you will sometimes have some purple pieces of gears from the 7 set, so start with the 7 set equipped on your character, then jump in endgame on the champion set as main set equipped, and then from time to time change to brute to increase your damage in PvE in the overall content. But if you go in the Wormwalks, it can be nice to use the sentinel to increase your damage when you are parrying the attacks coming to you. For the relics, these are the ones I have on my main. I was using this one before. That is an amazing one, a purple one that you can use to increase your attack power and have some life steal. It can help a lot in the Beyond the Wall expedition, by the way, because you can't use your potion here. Otherwise, this one is the best one to have for all 3 characters. Amazing. On the passive, this one is the best for a knight. Even though this is designed for an assassin with the secondary stats you're getting here, you don't have anything better working the same with the knight, alright? So best to use on the assassin and the knight. Here, best to use on the Sellsword. For the defensive stuff, this one is the best defensive artifact. I'm going to work on it as well to try to push more content later. But the best defense is the parry or the dodge. Or then the attack, the damage, of course. So this is why, as an hardcore gamer on that kind of game, I don't want to build my character around the defense, but around the attack only. This is just my gameplay. For the combos, I'm using only the strike combo 2 with the burn effect here, with the strike combo 2 damage increase, and with more damage here as well. So these are 3 only. Strike combo 2 because this is the best one to increase your damage. You have basically crazy damage with the last hit. This is insane. And finally here with the skills, I'm using the slashes, best offensive skill, and I will need a slashes plus to increase even higher my damage. Riposte stance if I am in the Wormwalks, that helps a lot versus humans in the campaign and every content in the game if you need to parry if you're struggling. This is an amazing one. Otherwise, generally I'm using the boost morale plus 1 instead. For dungeons with a team, it's increasing the crit rate and the crit damage of all the team by a lot for 12 seconds. And you can also decrease the defense of the enemies by 30% for 12 seconds when you have boost morale plus here. Alongside that, you decrease the damage you take by 25%. So this is very, very strong and you can stun enemies, so super skill to use. Finally, the Ignite Plus. So I have an AoE attack casting the skill, the fire lasts longer on my skill, and with the Armed Conflict 2, I increase my attack by 8.8% for 20 seconds when I'm using the skill, so very strong as well. And now this is my current trait tree. As you can see here, I have most of my points into the attack because my main goal, as I said, is to increase my damage first. I don't really care about my defense. Otherwise, if you struggle, try to put some points into some HP defense, damage reduction, stuff like that. I only have 3 points here. This one is important if you want to parry and do parry linked attack. Otherwise, you can't do that, alright? So these are the only nodes I have outside of the attack tree. And sometimes I'm taking these nodes here when I want to craft some explosive bolts and stuff like that. Okay, so this is what I have. Basically, I try to increase my crit damage and my attack power first everywhere I could. I went on the left to increase my combo damage, crit rate and crit damage, sorry. And here I took this one, so I have more damage with my combos. And finally here I took this one on the right, so I have more crit damage and crit rate over time. So this is a very good one. I increased my damage on bosses. I could try to lower that and maybe put some more points into the crit damage. Thanks to the champion set, I'm getting a lot of crit rate, and so if I show you the character stats, this is what I have at the beginning, and when I'm using all my skills, when I have all the buffs after using a bit of combos, I am getting to the max. 60% is the max crit rate you can have in game. You can't have more than that. And so these are the stats I have on my main character. My assassin build now. You can already notice that on the left, this is not the same as with my main character. And basically you have an insane amount of power difference between the tier 5 purple and a tier 4 legendary. Look at that. This is the max proc 270. This is not the max proc, but I have more. And you have more substats as well, so better have a tier 4 or a lower tier legendary than a higher tier purple, alright? So this is what I have on the weapon. Stacking poison to poison skill. It is interesting, but I'm not using the poison at the moment. I'm using the blood burst damage. You will see that later. Strike combo damage at 8.8% and penetrating power 35. Max roll here. I was really very lucky. I have been really lucky on that proc. On the daggers, projectiles, tier 4, max roll, lethal strike, I don't care about that, I'm not using the agile movement, so I'm trying to have a better weapon. Mighty strike damage, I don't care. Damage increase rate at 3.9 is pretty nice. On the defensive gear, on the helmet, that's a blue one, I have weaken +1 on the ambush skill, decreasing the increasing the damage taken by the opponent by 10% for 10 seconds. Great for team content and solo content as well. I generally use the ambush before releasing another skill. Damage taken decrease rate versus bosses by 2.5%. Here on the chest, armed conflict 2 to ignite weapon, so I'm getting more attack. Attack power 8.8% for 20 seconds. HP recovery rate. On the gloves, armed conflict 2 one more time on the ignite weapon, so very nice skill. Knockdown duration 2%. I don't care about it. On the boots, applies weaken +2 to ambush and HP 600. So I can decrease by a lot reduce by a lot the damage taken by the opponent with the ambush. I have the same jewels as for my knights. I was just using the defensive ones. Yeah, I can change that if I want to increase my damage. I could have used something different, but whatever. For the set, it is not complete yet. I was using the 7 before, as I told you before, to use that early in your progression. You are unlocking a lot of different purples for the 7 set for your different characters, so it is easier to start with that. But I'm switching to the champion set. I need 2 more PCs, and this is gonna be perfect later. Alright? So here, set research, I'm using the brute set, or in the Wormwalks, if I want to parry sometimes, I'm switching to the sentinel. For the artifact, I'm using the same main active artifact because this is the best by far, and on the passive artifact I'm using this one, the best one for the Assassin, especially when you're playing with the Bloodburst. You will see very easy to use that, and so yeah, you don't have any other good artifact for the Assassin here. Otherwise, wait, you can use this one, same as for the other classes. If you don't have the legendary here, and the best passive to use is probably this one. You will use the poison early, and you have more damage on poison targets, and you have some increase in attack power here at the top, so this is the best epic to use on an assassin before getting the legendary. The best combo is the strike combo 1. Just unlock that, you're gonna put some blood burst on the enemy. The blood burst increases the damage they take from any source, and it's increasing the strike combo 1 damage versus target inflicted by blood burst by 15%. Then I have this one, the enemy will not be able to counter strike combo 1, and you got more damage on the strike combo 1, and here only 1 on 5 levels. Because my goal is to kill bosses, and I don't care about increasing my damage after killing some enemies. 15% is okay, so I tried to level up the level of the skill here first. For the active skills, you can go for the poison early. You will have a lot of attack power increase or daze damage, and you can use the poison attack plus to deal an AoE attack before continuing. Otherwise, if you want, your goal is just to increase the damage taken of the opponent. You have the ambush with the weaken plus. You will have increased the damage taken by the opponent. You have also the retreat here. If you can get the first shadow assault, every enemy in the smoke screen will take more damage. So if you are playing in a team with these two, basically the target will take way more damage if you have these, alright? But in solo, this is not what I recommend to play. Only try to increase the cutting mutilation here. You can release crazy damage at the end, especially if before you can use the ambush. So you are going to put some sanguine crush on the target, and with the cutting mutilation you remove all the sanguine crush from the enemy to increase the damage of that skill. You can release insane damage with that combo basically. And if you are in a team with a different assassin, with your alliance for the Altar of Memories rankings for example, ask them to use the ambush if you are the highest DPS, so you put all the sanguine crush with your different characters, you are using the cutting mutilation, you are destroying the boss, alright? And yeah, try to unlock these 3 as well on the cutting mutilation. This is the best thing you can have on an assassin. I'm gonna work on that in the future. This is the trait tree on my assassin, but yeah, this is a bit different because I was lacking some crit, so instead of the crit damage, I went for crit rate here. There is a reason behind that. In fact, I have 2 different sets equipped on my character, so I'm not getting the crit rate buffs anymore through my attack through my hits on the enemy, okay? So this is an amazing thing, so this is why I need to focus on the sets on my character. If I can have on this one the full 5 set champion, then it will be way better. So attack power, crit rate here, same as on my knight here, that note to increase my crit rate, crit damage. Finally then I have here some combo damage and burst damage, and finally on the last one, same as on my knight, alright? So this is what I have. Defense, same comment for the parry. I'm doing that when I'm going the Wormwalks only, otherwise I don't care. I'm putting everything into my combo. I have less points than on my knights because I am only level 35 with that character. I'm level 41 with my knight. You get 2 trade 3 points per character, and I haven't finished the Stormlands with that character, so I can get a bit more points. If you want to see the stats I have on that character, I have 1,000 less attack power than on my knight, just because of the gear. This is insane, the difference I have here, because legendary weapons on my main character, alright? So I'm lacking a lot of efficiency because of that. But in the future, when I will have the same gear everywhere, that class is supposed to deal way more damage than the knight. And I miss a lot of my crits because I have, as you can see, only one set from the champion, as I said before, so I'm not getting the crit rate increase and I stay around the 30%. This is not optimal at all. Before I was using the champion set with the set research, now I'm not anymore, so yeah, it could be way more efficient than that. And finally, this is my Sellsword build. Here, same comments as for the Assassin. My gear is not optimal here. I don't have the highest proc here as I have on my Assassin, but this is a tier 5, so the roll is still pretty high. 240, I have Armed Conflict 2 Ignite Weapon, but this is not my main thing. The main thing I'm using the main skill. Mighty Strike damage, I don't really care about that, unfortunately. I didn't have better, and this is super hard on an epic weapon gear to reforge the effect here later. On the bow, I have a Pulverize +2 to Art effect. This is very nice because you will inflict more damage on destruction target. You can apply the destruction with the combo on the character. Crit rate, 4%, penetrating power 25. On the defensive gear, on the helmet, Pulverize +2 to Air Strike one more time, so I have way more damage with the Air Strike. Knockdown duration increased 2%. On the chest, Slaughter +2 to Merciless Strike, another amazing skill, probably better than the Earth Strike, and defense 80. On the gloves, Face to Face +2 to Merciless Strike one more time, so more efficiency on that skill, but it's not efficient to use 2 different offensive skills, to be honest. So you need to work on a buff and then to work on one offensive skill. This is the best thing to do in my opinion. Damage taken decreased 2.1%, and I need to reforge it one more time. And on the boots, Shockwave +1 to Earth Strike, so I have some damage over time on the ground in an AoE. This is pretty nice too. Same jewels as for the other characters. And I'm using the same sets as for my Assassin here. As you can see, I am switching on the champion set, but I need more time, more materials to craft these. On the set research, I'm using the same as for my Assassin and my Knight. The Brute set to increase my damage, or if I am in the Wormwalks, I'm using the Sentinel so I can parry the yellow attacks, and sometimes it can help a lot. Especially on that class because this is very slow, so if you can parry and attack after that, you have more chance to defeat the opponent. For the relics, this one is the best of course, otherwise you have this one that I recommend on all 3 classes. And for the passive one, this is the best one you can have on the Sellsword because you will apply the destruction on the target, so you will have crazy damage. It's increasing your crit rate and your attack power and HP as main stats. Very cool one for your damage and your survivability. Otherwise, I recommend to use this one if you don't have it. If you have the 2, upgrade this one first, so it will be more efficient on all your 3 characters, alright? Otherwise, the passive one here for the Sellsword, this one, so you will have more damage on targets with destruction. Best one to use if you are using that character. Okay? And now, let's go on the skills. The basic skill, I'm using the Strike Combo 1 with these, so I have more hit stun immunity, so I'm not getting cancelled when I'm using my combo 1. I can inflict a shock, and shock switches to destruction at max stacks on the target. You need a 6 to apply the destruction. Only 1 on 5 because I don't have any increase in damage. Here, I have more damage with the strike combo 1, otherwise you can go with the day's damage, it's up to you. And here finally more damage on destruction target, alright? For the active skills, I am using only the rampage mainly. You have an insane amount of attack power when using that skill, you have more attack speed on light attacks. And basically if I could upgrade these, that would be even better. More crit rate, more crit damage during the effect, that would be insane. Very, very strong, this combo 1 with that. Rampage plus would be even better. I would have a better range here for the attack power increase and apply defense down 10% on the target. Imagine that would be way better. I would have insane damage if I had that. Merciless Strike is the best skill to use to deal damage. Increases damage to a single target by 22.5%. Increases crit damage by 27.5%. Merciless Strike Plus would be amazing as well. Basically, more attack power, and yeah, that would be insane. And day's damage are pretty high as well. Otherwise, Earth Strike is very cool too, especially when you have some effects here, but as I said before, focus on one skill first with the gear. The Roar effect is pretty cool when you are in a team. You can increase the crit rate of all your heroes in the team and light attack speed by a lot if you have the Berserk Plus here. And you increase your damage by 20%, but unfortunately only for 8 seconds. They need to upgrade that. This is not a lot. 12 seconds will be better. And the Roar will be better. You will have an AoE attack and damage increase. No, you still have 12%, 20%. So that's the trait tree I have on my Sellsword. The difference on this guy is that I have an artifact equipped that is giving to me a lot of crit rate. Basically, it's giving to me 20% crit rate, so I don't care about the crit here. I'm going mostly for the crit damage. Attack power, crit damage. Here, I got that node as on my other classes. Here, same node, and finally at the end, same node as well. Some damage on bosses and attack power first everywhere, and the same defensive nodes here. These are the stats of my Sellsword, and as you can see one more time, I have the same attack power than on my Assassin, and I'm lacking 1000 attack power in comparison with my Knight. But the crit rate, the base crit rate of that character thanks to the artifact is crazy. I have close to 50%. So this is very, very nice. But one more time here, the set is not optimal on the left. I'm focusing on the champion first, but I need to craft more pieces of gear. It will be even better in the future. Alright? So this is what I think about the 3 characters. Let me know what did you think about all of this in the comment below. Let me know what is your favorite class as well. Have a nice day guys, take care and see you in the next video. Bye bye.